video is about the idea of luxury bags being investments at all, and I'm here to say that they really aren't. Hello, welcome back to Classics with a Quirk, where I talk about contemporary and luxury designer items and brands with the touch of silliness. This is the kind of content that you find interesting. Please do like this video and subscribe for more of it. Thank you. If you've ever been interested in buying a luxury bag, one of the first things that a lot of different YouTubers talk about is investment pieces or investment bags. And usually what they mean in terms of investment bags are bags that you can buy that you can later resell if you so choose for as much or even more than what you paid for in the beginning. Especially now, with so many different bags coming out from so many different brands, there are a lot of people who are interested in this type of buy, resell, buy, resell, buy, resell sort of mindset. They buy a bag that they are interested in at the time, and then a different bag comes along and they resell that bag and then buy a different bag. This kind of in and out sort of mindset in terms of luxury goods and fashion is something that's been happening a lot more often recently, and I think that's partially because of the rise in social media in general. You see the next latest thing, you want the next latest thing, and then what you've currently got is not what you want anymore, or it's not as good as the one that's coming next. And this brings into the discussion the idea of luxury goods as fast fashion in some ways. And that's not what I want to talk about today, but it is a video that I'm interested in making. So if you are interested in seeing that video, just leave me a comment down below to let me know that that's something you want to see. But this video is about the idea of luxury bags not actually being investments, if you think about investments in terms of monetary value, and going into why. Now, there are two different kinds of investments when it comes to luxury pieces, or any pieces really, when you buy something, and that is use and monetary value. Now, it used to be that an investment piece meant that it was going to be in your wardrobe for a very long time, part of your collection for years and years and years, maybe even passed down through your generations, or you got it from somebody previously in your family. These items were meant to last forever, or at least a very long time, and that's part of why they have luxury attached to them. They're very expensive, but their worth and value comes from the fact that you can use them and wear them and love them and cherish them for ages. Take the Chanel reissue. This bag currently retails between $6,000 and $8,000, and it might go up at any time because Chanel does price increases very regularly. And the idea is you are paying that much money in order for you to have it forever if you treat it well, and you're going to be able to use it with a variety of different outfits. You're going to be able to cherish it for a very long time, and in that way it is an investment, because even though you're spending a substantial amount of money, if you use it often enough and cherish it the way that it's meant to be cherished, then the cost per wear or cost per use is very, very low, and it ends up working out. If you have it for a period of 10 years or more, that's a really good investment purchase. However, in terms of monetary value when it comes to investment purchases, the idea is that you buy an item and then the price goes up, or it's a scarce item and you're able to resell it for more, or at least what you paid, and you don't take a loss for having used the item. And there are some inconsistencies with this manner of thinking. And I kind of think of that as more renting a bag as to buying the bag to own it. And there are people actually who buy bags specifically to flip them, which I have feelings about, as well as people who buy bags to have them sit on their shelf and look pretty for a couple of years, and then they sell it because it was a sought after color, which I also kind of have feelings about, but that's your prerogative if that's how you want to spend your money. I personally have my own issues with flippers because it does just take away a sought after item from someone who really just genuinely wants to buy it and then takes advantage of the market to make a profit. And there's, some things that I don't agree with in that particular vein of movement, but that's, again, not what we're talking about today. In terms of somebody who buys a bag and they love it and they want to use it at least for that time, and then they sell it on later and they hope to recoup their money, or at least most, all, or even more of it, that's where it gets kind of tricky in terms of what investment means. Now, say we are talking about a very sought after item. This is a Chanel wallet on chain in the classic black caviar with gold hardware. It is one of the most popular items from Chanel, I would say, and it is also one of the most sought after, in part because of the price. In 2020, this item retailed for $2,500 new in boutique. Since then, it had a price increase going up to $2,650 plus tax if you pay tax in your state or wherever you live in the world. By the time this video comes out, there may have been another price increase, and I don't know if this particular piece is part of that price increase or not, But if it is, then it'll have gone up to even more than $26.50 USD. If it didn't, it still will have gone up by $150 between May 2020 and January of 2021. So by all logic, if you bought this piece new in 2020 and paid $2,500 USD, when the price goes up, this is now worth more. You'd be able to sell it for $26.50. Except if you are selling a used item for brand new prices, why wouldn't somebody just go to the boutique and buy it brand new and get it new and get the boutique experience and all the packaging and everything like that? That doesn't really make any sense. And this item is a very sought after item, but it isn't impossible to find. If somebody is patient and they ask and they wait and they call client services sometimes, it isn't the most difficult item to track down. In a unique color, possibly, but we're not talking necessarily about unique colors in terms of investment pieces. We're talking mostly about just the regular classic pieces that you are buying because they are investments. And it is true. People do pay a premium for sought after colors. For instance, the 21p caramel color right now is retailing for upwards of $2,000 plus on top of the regular retail price, which I personally think is a little bit insane. But, you know, if people are willing to spend the money, they're willing to spend the money. Back to the topic of the Chanel Walk, though. Say you bought this piece in 2020 for $2,500 and it's now $26.50, but you can't sell it for $26.50 because it is that new. People would just go into the store and buy it. And even if you price it at $2,600, people are going to buy it new for $50 extra. Most people will just buy it new for $50 extra. They're not going to say that they're saving $50 on a $2,000 plus piece, for most people anyway. But also in terms of it being a used piece, we're talking about wear and tear. And so if you have this piece and you've used it, it's no longer brand new, and people are going to want to buy a brand new item. They're going to pay more for the brand new item. So say again, you buy the Chanel wallet on chain and maybe it goes through 2 price increases and now it's $3,000. You bought it for $2,500. So of course you can sell it for $2,700 and make a $200 profit, right? Well, how used is it? Does it have cornerware? Is it misshapen? Are some of the caviar pieces coming off? If it's in lambskin, does it have scratches? Does the hardware have scratches? All of those are things that buyers take into account when they think about buying a pre-loved piece. They're wanting good condition, and you're going to have to price your piece less for worse condition. So if you buy this item and you want to enjoy it, you're going to put wear and tear on it. You're going to get scuffed corners. You're going to get scratches on the hardware. No matter how much you baby a bag, the bag is going to acquire some sort of wear and tear throughout the wearing process. That's just how these items work. They're not going to completely fall apart because they're not made to completely fall apart. They are, for the most part, made of quality materials, at least in most cases. And though there are qualms in terms of Chanel, for instance, quality right now, they still are made to last. That's kind of the purpose of them. So say you have this bag and it has a couple of dings, you're no longer able to really price it for like new condition because it isn't like new condition. Nobody's going to buy it for like new condition. They're going to see those little flaws and say it's not worth $2,700. I'm not going to pay that, and you're not going to earn that money. So if you want your bag to be an investment piece, you're going to have to buy it and either not use it and have it sit on the shelf, which admittedly some people do, or you're going to have to be incredibly careful whenever you take it out. And that's kind of hard if you're so precious with the bag to not be able to enjoy it because you're worried about not being able to resell it down the line. Also, it depends on how you decide to sell your bag. If you sell on a website, say Fashionphile or Rebag, which has a lot of good reputation and you are very protected as a buyer, you are not going to be getting the $2,500 back if the bag retails for $3,000 because Fashionphile, for instance, is going to want to make a profit. They're going to offer you as low a price as they can so they can make the biggest profit when they sell it. And that's something that you have to take into account. Most people say that you're going to be losing at least 30% of your purchase price when you sell through a place like Fashionphile or Rebag or Yuki's Closet. And if it's not a sought after piece in the same capacity that a rare item is, or a very classic item is that a lot of people want to buy and there's a rush for it, they're going to offer you even less because they're going to be able to sell it for even less. Now, say you don't want Fashionphile to take that much of a cut from you and you're more interested in selling through a third-party retailer like Vestiaire Collective or eBay. Those places still have fees, usually 10 to 20%. So you're going to be losing 10 to 20% on whatever you price your item at. And whatever you price your item at still isn't what somebody might be willing to pay for that item. So say again, you have the Chanel wallet on chain that you paid $2,500 for, and you want at least $2,500 back. Well, you're going to have to price it higher than $2,500, because if you price it at $2,500 and eBay takes a 10% cut, you're only getting $2,250 back, regardless of what it sold for. If it sells for $2,500, you're still losing that 10%, so you're not making the money back that you expected or hoped to. Not to mention that you also have to worry about getting scammed, getting somebody who's going to damage the bag and then try to return it, getting people saying that your bag isn't authentic and then having to have a whole kerfuffle in that. There are a lot of different horror stories on YouTube in terms of trying to sell a bag and getting scammed or having a very bad experience. And that's not for everybody. Some people have great experiences, but it is something to keep in mind. Okay, you say, what about selling on a completely private platform, such as Instagram, where it's a cash transaction and you don't have to worry about any type of fee at all? Well, how are you going to find the people to buy your piece on Instagram? Even if you have a lot of followers, not all of them might be interested in buying your item, or you might have people who don't know you well enough to trust you to spend $2,000 plus on an item. Instagram is a lot harder because it takes more legwork on your part in order to get your item out there to find somebody who wants to sell it. And yes, if it is a cash transaction, you have them pay with Zelle or Venmo or something. So it's all cash all the time. All that cash is in your bank account right when you sell it. That doesn't mean that the transaction is over sometimes. Yes, it is true that having them pay in cash means that once you ship out the item, you're kind of done because you have their money and you sort of don't have to worry anymore. But depending on how big a following they have on Instagram, they could certainly kick up a fuss and make your life kind of miserable in the event that they have a bad experience, or even in the event that they don't have a bad experience but they just want to kick up a fuss. You're dealing with that too. A lot of people who do have success selling on Instagram are bigger. They have a bigger social media platform. They have a bigger reach, so they're much more likely to see people or find people or have people find them who are interested in buying their goods and who find them trustworthy enough to actually send them that money. So that's something to keep in mind too. Now, of course, this isn't across the board. There are some, very few, but some bags that are investment pieces in every sense of the word. Wardrobe investment pieces and monetary. And I'm primarily talking about Hermes, and I'm primarily talking about the Hermes Birkin and the Kelly. Those bags are hugely popular and very difficult to get. So once you buy that bag, you are immediately able to resell it for a profit for the most part, even if you're talking about taking a consignment cut from somebody else. But if you put all that time and effort and money into procuring an Hermes bag fresh from the boutique, do you really want to turn around and sell it right away? That's not the best thing to do in terms of Hermes's point of view, because that can actually get somebody blacklisted. You're supposed to be showing your sales associate that you really appreciate all the effort they went to get you the bag and that you are wearing it and loving it and owning it and cherishing it. Selling a bag right away is going to immediately deem you as a reseller and possibly get you blacklisted from the brand. Finally, I want to talk about something else that really isn't discussed when it comes to buying and reselling bags or buying bags for monetary investment. Finally, I want to touch on something else that really isn't talked about so often when it comes to buying bags for monetary investment. And that is the idea that you might have to, at some point down the line, sell your bag. And I mean have to. Not want to, but have to. If you are buying an item specifically because you have the possibility of reselling it in the event that you need the money, that's one thing. But if you're buying a bag knowing that at some point you're going to have to resell it because you need to recoup your money, or you're only able to buy another piece because you've sold an item because you made your money back on that, that's where things get a little bit tricky, because you're buying something you really can't afford. And that's never a good thing to do. These items are ultimately frivolous. They're not necessities, and they are completely ludicrous amounts of money, really, when you think about it. Even when you don't think about it, they're incredibly ludicrous amounts of money for the average person. And it's true that it's not necessarily the average person who are buying these pieces, but you might be an average person. I certainly am somebody who isn't particularly wealthy. I just manage my money well, what I have, and I'm able to allocate certain funds for these things that I like. But I never, and I mean never, purchase an item if I know that at some point I will need the money and value that comes with selling it. So really, in terms of investment, yes, I have a very nice collection, I personally feel. And if I did try to sell it off tomorrow because I wanted to start up a business venture or something and I wanted a little bit of extra funds boost, I could do that. And I probably would be able to recoup at least some of what I paid, if not all of it, probably not more. I'm not actually sure. I haven't charted out the going market value of a lot of my pieces because I don't really need to right now. But if I somehow lost all my items tomorrow, if I was robbed or if they were in a tragic fire accident, I would be very upset. Of course I would. I'd be very upset for a number of reasons. But I wouldn't be financially devastated. I wouldn't have had to sell those pieces to recoup my money because I have other money that I can use for things that I need. And ultimately, I think that that's something that we do not talk about when it comes to investment buying, or the idea of investment buying, which is if you are buying an item because you can sell it down the line, if you need to, that's one thing. But if you are buying an item knowing that you're going to have to resell it down the line, that's something else. And I feel that that's important to think about when you are making a big purchase. Any kind of big purchase, really, but something like this on a complete frivolity, is this going to put you in financial danger? Not even is it going to lead you to financial ruin or put you into debt, but if you lost it tomorrow and you couldn't actually retain any value from it, if you could not sell it because it was gone, would you be in trouble? That's something that you have to consider if this is not something that you can buy on a whim, or something that you shouldn't buy on a whim. That's part of what I'm talking about here. It is a very interesting topic and one that I think has multiple facets, and I think that some sides are not touched on as much as other sides are. I see a lot of videos about what bags to buy for investment and what bags to buy to resell and why you should buy Chanel or Hermes over Dior or YSL and all that sort of thing. But I don't see a lot of videos on actual resale value and like what happens with wear and tear and what about third-party websites and what you do and don't lose with selling through third-party websites and all that stuff. So I just wanted to make a video on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this topic. What do you think about the idea of monetary investment buying? And do you prefer to wardrobe investment buy? Because I think that that's ultimately what investment buying should mean. Or do you disagree with me and think that wardrobe investment buying isn't what it means anymore, or isn't what it should mean anymore? I'd really be interested to know. If you did somehow lose all your items in some sort of tragic accident, but there's one that you could keep, which one would that be? I'd also be very interested to know. If you like this video, please do give it a like because it super duper helps the algorithm, and subscribe for more content because it helps the algorithm even more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.